Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining our eFile Cabinet webinar today, where we'll be featuring several new updates to our Rubix software platform. I'm Jesse Wood, CEO here at eFile Cabinet, and I'll be your host today. We are excited about showing you some of our new features that are sure to bring value to your organization and really help you get the most out of your eFile Cabinet Rubix software. Let's dive in and show you 5 new features that you'll want to begin using right now. The first that we'll showcase today is dual screen preview. Have you ever wished that you could view your document in eFile Cabinet while accessing all of your powerful right panel tools? So you could view and edit profile information, view and enter comments, change permissions, and adjust notification and automation settings for the document, all while keeping it in full view. Have you ever wanted to take a look at a different version of a file while comparing it to a current version, maybe even side by side? Or have you ever wanted to compare 2 entirely different documents, again side by side? Well, with Dual Previewer, this is all now possible in eFile Cabinet Rubix. So let's take a look at Dual Screen Preview now in Rubix. Here we have Check 13625, a PDF that we're viewing in the right panel. You can see our preview, and then you can see all of our right panel features. Now this is our new dual screen preview icon. When we click that dual screen preview icon, you'll notice we place a full screen view of preview as well as all of your feature set for right panel. So on the left, we've got version 4 of that document, that check 13625. And now on the right, I can edit profile information while looking at the document at the same time. I can actually edit comments and insert those. I can change my permissions and view those. My governance, automation, and my file versions and my audit log all at the same time while viewing the document. Now let's take a look at file versions. Let's say that I wanted to compare 2 file versions side by side. I've already got version 4 on the left, which is my current version. I'm now going to choose on the right to have my 3rd version there and choose my preview. Now you can view full screen side by side 2 different versions of the same document. We think this is going to be a game changer for many of you who are doing comparative notes for documentation inside eFile Cabinet at the same time. No need to download both of those and open them separately to do comparisons. You can do that exactly at the same time with dual screen preview. Now I'm going to also, let's change this back to version 4. So we've got version 4 on both sides. And I'm going to take the left-hand panel and demonstrate how we can actually open an entirely different document. So let's go here and choose from our demonstration and check processing account. Let's go to the Xerox Corporation and choose check 13627. I'm now going to open on the left-hand side an entirely different document to be compared to my current version over here of check 13625. So this would give you the ability to actually view entirely different documents at the same time in Rubix as you're wanting to make comparisons. We think dual screen preview is going to change the way you view and coordinate information inside of Rubix. We can't wait for you guys to try it. Next, let's look at a new way to share access for infrequent guest users of your system. This feature is designed to take the hassle out of getting your clients quick, easy access to anything you've shared with them. It can be frustrating when a client can't remember how to gain access to information that you've shared. And let's face it, some of those that we share with, they're only going to access this documentation a few times a year. For those that struggle to log in, we've created a secure but simple method of sharing called Instant Sign-In. And this does just what it says. It allows you to give instant sign-in access to any user in your system. You control the access, they get to the files. You choose how long anyone can have that instant access to, so information is always safe and secure. So let's take a look at how easy instant sign-in access is for users to actually utilize in gaining access to files that you want them to have access to. You'll notice here that I have check 13625 already shared with wood.jesse.k@gmail.com. Let's take a look at the email and what that would normally prompt them to do. And by the way, this comes about from just doing a right-click share and sharing that with Jesse, just as most of you are used to. What that will do, if I go to my email, you will notice I've been given this link where I can log in. But clicking that link, that takes me directly to my Rubix sign-in page. And so this from the Rubix webinar account has been shared, and it's asking for a username and password. Well, most of our users, hopefully, they know their passwords. But if those that don't, because maybe it's a client account that only accesses the portal once a year or very infrequently at least, and it's a new year, you've shared some information that they need to have access to, and they can't remember their password. They can go through the forgot password sequence and reset their password, but this is one of the reasons why we're granting instant sign-in links. So let's take a look at how we do that. If you right-click on this file and select share, you will now notice that there is a new box here, grant instant sign-in, that is available. And so I'm going to simply choose my same user. They've already been set up inside the system, but they can't remember how to access their system. They're asking for a quick access. And so I am going to choose grant instant sign-in. Now I have an expiration for that remove access, just like I do with regular shares, that can be set up. Now default, you have a new user setting that will allow you to control how long this is each time you give any shareable link or grant an instant sign-in link to when that removed access will occur. I'm just going to leave this as May 24th, and I'm going to change this just to my instant sign-in access and share that. That will send the user a new email with a direct link access to this, but it will grant them that instant sign-in access that they're hoping to receive. So let's flip over to our email and see that. You can see here we've received now the instant sign-in access link. So I will click this, and instead of taking me now to our eFile cabinet login page, this link will take them in pre-authenticated directly to that item that we have shared with them. There's that check 13625. This will make it so much easier for those individuals who, for whatever reason, cannot remember their password and they're not able to set up a new password with the forgot password steps that Rubix offers. Now they'll be able to access that information instantly as you grant them that instant sign-in access. Again, remember that we had set an expiration for that to happen at a certain period of time. So just calling that menu open again. When you've chosen that, we had selected that to happen on May 24th, but that individual will now be able to access that system with that link from that email until the 24th of May. You can grant as many of those sign-in accesses as you want, and in a moment I'll show you how you can control those and even remove those from your system if you want to at any point in time. But that's how simple and easy it is now for users to gain instant access to files and locations that you are trying to share with them. In addition to instant sign-in, we've added additional sharing functionality to Rubix in the form of access links. Have you ever wanted to share an eFile cabinet file or directory of files with someone who is not a guest user in the system? Or have you ever wanted to collect files from unknown individuals by giving an anonymous access location that you provided a link for, maybe on your website? Access links are the solution. These links can be created and shared in any way, including email and websites. They keep files completely safe, though they don't require a password to gain access. Of course, you control how long these links are active and can even restrict them by a number of uses before expiration. Access links allow you the flexibility in sharing the way you've been wanting. So let's take a look at how easy it is now to use access links to access documents for individuals that may not be part of your system inside Rubix. By right-clicking, you'll notice we have either share or shareable link. Share takes us to that email one, although there's a tab that you can move over to the link system for access links, but we have a direct access from the right-click menu as well. So as I go to shareable link, you'll notice that it selects the access link tab here. Now, in this case, you can see what the access link is. I can copy that to my clipboard. So now I'm going to use that in just a moment. But underneath our options, you'll also notice I have some additional information. Here, I'm going to choose 2 remaining uses for this particular access link. And again, it's got an expiration date. Now, just so you are aware, by default, that expiration date will be populated there, so it cleans up those access links. In a moment, I'll go over to our admin section and show you how you can view all of the links that have been shared, whether they are instant sign-in or access links that have been shared out to individuals. For this case today in the demonstration, I'm going to have 2 uses that are remaining. I'll update that link so that it has both of those. Let's take a look in our browser now what that would look like. So I'm going to paste that link that we just shared, the latest one that we just did. In that access link, you'll know the first time that we go in to log in as that individual who's clicking that, it does not require a password, but it does require us to put our name. And so I'm just going to say this is test, and we'll use last name of 8. We've used many tests before. And I'm not going to put in an email. That is optional. So I'm just going to say continue. And that is going to take me without a password. Yes, because it's recognizing me as the first time using that. I'll accept our terms of service agreement. But then it takes me directly to that link, just as you would expect. They have now a direct access with that link to that system without a password. But I want to call attention, as we go back to Rubik's, to our user, I want to call attention to the audit log. Now you will see in this audit trail, if I go all the way to the bottom, you will actually see that test 8, which was me, has been accessed or has used access. If they have an email address, it'll appear right here between the parentheses. But then you'll notice that that link was shared by me, by Jesse Wood. And so anyone using that link anywhere, if you've emailed that out or given that access to someone, anyone who uses that link, regardless of what their name is in the system, it will recognize that that was a link that was shared by Jesse. And so we keep track of that in our audit trail very carefully to make sure we do know who's coming into that system. And it is important to note that this test 8 user is not a guest user in the system. Unlike when we're doing granting instant sign-in access where that would be a guest user that's tracked in the system, this did not require an email address, and this user does not have to log in via an email address, but they are tracked in the audit logs for every access that they or every access that they've been granted and when they utilize that. And you can see here, just like our normal audit trail, that's demonstrating that that file was viewed. Access links make it extremely easy for users to be able to come into the system if you have not had them set up as a guest user or haven't granted them other permissions. Now let's take a quick look at how you control those access links as an admin. You'll notice now a new section in our admin panel, Instant Sign-In and Access Links. Here you can see the different links that we have shared out today. And so I've got an access link that was utilized here that I just shared for that check. You can see I've done that a couple of times, and I have an access or an instant sign-in link. That's not a shareable link, but that's an instant sign-in link that was given for that particular guest user to access that. And if I want to remove any of those from my system, I can go ahead and do that. Let's go back to our browser though. Since we had set that up for that access link, let's try going to this location again. And so this time I'm just going to paste that link again. Obviously this time it recognizes me as a user, so I don't have to sign the terms of service. It just takes me directly to that file that I have shared. I had given, remember, access to do that 2 times. So now let's come in here and show again how we access this link. This would be my 3rd time accessing that link, and now you'll notice it brings me back to our login screen and indicates that this link has no more uses remaining. This is a way that you can govern and control how many times people are coming into the system to access files, and if you're wanting to grant them an access link that doesn't require any authentication, you can certainly do that and control the number of uses for that when that individual's accessing that file. This is a way that you can now give easy access to those who struggle to get guest user access or remember their password, whatever the reason may be that they're struggling to access their information. These are very simple ways that you can share with them and have them still be governed and secure while you're maintaining control over the environment. Okay, so the last thing we're going to show you with access links is the way that you can actually anonymously request files to be brought into your e-file cabinet Rubix environment. The great example of that would be someone who has a website and they've posted a link, and when someone clicks that link, it takes them into a location where they can actually load files into Rubix. They wouldn't be able to see anything else. All that they would have access to is just that link to load files. But this is a way where you can submit a link and now have people ingesting information into your Rubix account. Let's show you how we do that. I'm going to go to our file request menu and just select file request. Now you'll notice here we have this new feature, request files with access link. First, I'm going to select a destination to load these files. And I've got a location in here, a drawer called file requests that we'll put those in. And then once I check that box, you'll notice that the to actually goes away. Normally with file requests, we're sending these via email to someone and they're clicking that in order to load those files in. It's to a specific person. In this case, we're just going to access or generate an access link. And so for this, we're going to call this tested deposit for website. And the message, please load file here. And down here, we'll just call this load file. And in this case, I'm actually going to select multiple files, and I'm going to demonstrate how I'm going to set a limit of 3 files that we're going to load before this request is completed. Now, I can set that as high as I want, so if you want that virtually to be open for hundreds or maybe even thousands of files to be loaded into Rubix, you can certainly do that. All we'll do at this point is say generate access link, and then select this clipboard copy functionality, and I'll use that here in our browser in just a moment. So that's all I had to do. That file request is ready to go. I'll just switch back over in Rubix and then go to my browser. In my browser, I'm going to paste that link that I copied to my clipboard. Now the first time, because again, I'm new coming to this link, it's going to ask for acceptance on that. Remember, it knows that I'm test 8. We'll show you that in just a moment that we were using earlier because I haven't cleared that out of my cache from my browser. So it still knows I'm test 8. But I'm going to come in and simply select drag or click file here and choose this first document and say submit. That is all that individual would have to do. You can see that I'm accessing this from a website. That's all the individual has to do to load that file into your Rubix environment. Now let's hit that link again. This time brings the same dialog box. I don't have to do the terms of service because I've already done that here in this session, but I'm going to select document 2 and submit that. That's done, and I'm going to do that again very quickly a third time. And after I've loaded that third file representing a third person, of course I know I'm the same person, but representing the third person adding that file to the system. Once that's done, that file request is actually completed. Let's flip back over to our file request menu. In our account requests and scroll down to the very bottom, and you'll notice that tested deposit for website that we just created, that is now complete. And so I will come back into my home directory and show you those file requests. So now as we load that, you can actually see that it was that test 8 user that I've been today in our demonstration. Test 8 came in and loaded those files. So each individual that puts in their first and last name, again, no password required, but they would have their first and last name showing you who has loaded that information into that file request directory. They don't have access to these files. None of those users could see those files. It's an anonymous location that they, an anonymous repository where people can put files, as many as you would like, and then you can do with those whatever you'd like to do from your Rubix account. You can even set permissions on this file request directory to have some workflows, pick those files up and move them to other locations for processing, whatever it is that you choose to do. This is just a great way to use an pre-authenticated link or an access link to be able to deposit information into your Rubik's account from anonymous users. We love access links. We love what we're doing with these file requests and access links. You'll enjoy this significantly as you work with your eFile cabinet Rubik's environment. We think that you are going to love our new instant sign-in, access links, and our new anonymous file request links that eFile cabinet allows you to utilize inside your Rubik's environment. Just a couple of months ago, we introduced eFile cabinet's signature solution. And today, we are thrilled to show you two new secure methods for acquiring electronic signatures: knowledge-based authentication, or KBA, and one-time passcodes. Both of these allow you to add another layer of security to your signature transactions. KBA utilizes a third-party knowledge base to authorize signers based on a series of questions that must be answered correctly pertaining to previous information known about the signer. One-time passcodes use a mobile phone via text message to send a secure code to validate the user's identity, just like multi-factor authentication. These powerful additions give you the necessary security controls you'll need for any type of compliant signature transaction. Existing signature users can simply add these features to your account the same way that you previously added eSignature. Let's take a look at how we can use KBA and one-time passcode transactions. Here in Rubik's, you'll see I have this contract agreement, and I'm going to place a signature down here on this particular document. To do that, I'm going to right-click and say Sign with eSignature. Here I'm going to give just a unique name that we will use for a description. And here's where I'll add my signer. Now I'm going to use a personal email address. And put in the name of the signer. And underneath our authentication options, you will see that we have KBA and one-time passcode options now listed for each individual signer. Now I'm going to choose that this is KBA. Now this must be an actual social security number and a real date of birth, as it's going to be using a knowledge-based authentication database to ask those particular questions of this signer. And so I'm going to gray these out so you can't see these. But then once we've finished with that, we're going to proceed just like we normally do with signature. Now in this case, I'll just choose a couple of default options. And this will take me to our signature page. Now none of this will be different for you as you're indicating or placing the signatures automatically on the page as you've done before with signature. So I'm simply going to highlight the area and bring that signature line. That will automatically put a date line there, and I'll leave that just for our signature page today. I'll leave, again, our reminder schedule the same. And that completes my portion for sending a KBA transaction. Now the difference is going to happen when the user receives their email from what they've done in the past with authentication. So let's take a look at how that's done. Here you can see I've received a new email. When I click on that, it will allow me to go directly to that link. It's indicating that we have documents that are ready to sign. Now the first question that it's going to ask me is if I will agree to legal consent for these signatures. I will. And now I'm going to have that information that I had, and you'll have to enter that in. So bear with me while we gray that out for you again. Once I've entered the correct information, I simply click Next. The system in this case is going to ask me unique questions based on the knowledge that it has in its system. That's why it's knowledge-based authentication. And so these questions I'll have to answer correctly. Once answered correctly, you'll need to click Next. There are additional questions to answer, which must be answered correctly. And once you've answered those questions, again, click Next. Now it's going to prompt you for a password. This is that individual must put in a password to be stored with their name. So we'll put in a quick password. You can choose to have a custom signature if you would like, or you can just use the default signature. For this purpose today, we'll just use default. Simply say, let's go. And this is now taking us to the part where they will actually be able to sign. I'm going to take us right to that signature piece for demonstration purposes today and finish that signature. So very easy to complete our signature process just using the knowledge-based authentication database. And once that's been signed, obviously the notification will come via email indicating you've completed the transaction. So let's go back to our contract agreement and take a quick look. Underneath my eSignature transactions, I can actually just refresh test 13. You'll see that that's now downloaded in my system. And as I had indicated, now I have an audit trail and a signed document that were listed separately. And there's my signed transaction. Let's take a look now at how we would do a one-time passcode transaction. Very similar. I'm going to start with this original document again. And I will right-click on this, sign with eSignature. Again, give this a unique name. We'll use the same email address as we used before and the same individual. Only this time we will choose one-time passcode. Now this is going to require a cell phone number, so forgive me as I grade this out again. We'll put in their cell phone number so that they can receive a message. And this time I'm actually going to choose to require the signer intent, so we can just demonstrate the signer authorization for that electronic signature at the end of the transaction. Again, I will choose to store that in the same folder and location. And we'll proceed to sign the transaction just as we did before. We'll leave default settings the same. That completes the transaction on our side. So now we'll jump back to our email. You'll notice that we have another email indicating there's a document to sign for test 14. Now this time, we'll agree to legal consent, but this time it's going to send us a text message, and it tells us we've created a secret code and sent it to your mobile device. So I will enter that secret code that has come via text message. Click Next. Again, it will ask me for a password, and I will choose again to do default. By the way, once you've set up those passwords in either one-time passcode or in the knowledge-based authentication, the system will remember that, and it will prompt you for that password the next time you do a transaction instead of having to answer the questions again. And this time we've added an intent to sign, and so that password that we have created must be used again to show that we now will give authorization for that electronic signature. Once we've completed the transaction, we are now finished on our signing side, and that will be completed for eFile Cabinet. And with a quick refresh, you can see we now have the additional signed document. Signed with the signature. So that's how simple it is to do KBA and OTP or one-time passcode transactions with eFile cabinet signature. Our last feature we'll showcase today is our newest advanced search feature called Missing Item Search. This feature was designed to allow users to find what is missing in their systems when searching. Have you ever had a list of clients that all have a certain document, but somehow you find that one client was missing that important file? How would you ever know, short of manually looking for that file in every client's directory? Missing Item Search helps you do just that. It locates items that should be in locations but are missing. This negative search functionality allows eFile Cabinet Rubix users to locate any item or set of items missing from any location, or even any item or set of items missing from any template or any place that that template has been applied in your system. Start locating easily missing files and folders from eFile Cabinet with Missing Item Search. So let's take a look at how Missing Item Search can help you identify objects that don't exist in your eFile Cabinet Rubix environment. To do that, I'm going to select a Missing Item Search drawer that I have listed in here. It's got a number of people, last name, comma, first name. Just an example of what's inside there. Bill Andrews, he's got several sample documents and an I-9 form. And so what I'm going to do is take us over into our Advanced Search section. And so once I'm in Advanced Search, I can now see a new feature, Missing Item Search. I'm going to select that box, and I've got two different options that I can start to add search criteria to. First is the template Missing Item Search, and this will identify any place that you've applied a template to perform this search. So if you have a certain template that's applied in lots of different places across your Rubix environment, you would now be able to do that by selecting the template from this option. I'm going to use for our demonstration today the container Missing Item Search, and so obviously this searches inside any specific container. To do that, I'm going to identify my Missing Item Search container, and now I'm going to choose the criteria. I know that I'm looking for a particular name. In this case, I'm going to search for an I-9 form. And so when I put that and apply that as part of my criteria, the name contains that. It's going to look in that directory and search for everything that has I-9. But remember, this is a Missing Item Search, so it's going to find anything where that item is actually missing. So let's go ahead and perform our search. When we do that, the search results come back and they tell us that Todd Jones and Beth Richards are the two locations that don't have an I-9 form. Let's go see how well this did. So now when we look in here, we looked at Bill, I'll look at Phil. Yes, he has an I-9. I'll check Rachel. She has an I-9. But those two that I identified, first Todd, as we select Todd, you will notice Todd does not have an I-9 form. And when you look down at Beth Richards, she also does not have an I-9 form. But all of the others do have an I-9 form, whether they have those other documents or not. They do all have that I-9 form. So going back to that search menu quickly and just calling up that last previous search that we did, you'll notice those are the only two that are identified in there that don't have an I-9. This is a great way for you to search your eFile cabinet system for things that are missing, things that are not in the eFile cabinet environment. You can now search by any of our search criteria. I was doing that by name, but you can search by profile values. You can search for profile items in addition to that, and you can just find all of those objects that are missing inside your Rubix environment. We think you're going to love our new Missing Item Search. Now, in addition to finding those documents, you'll be able to export those results. And I'm going to choose the location Missing Items. And let's just export that automatically into my account. Now, when I go back and find that, you'll see that I have that search report that shows it's a Missing Item Search where it contained I-9. And so in that report, you would be able to see the exported results showing you that that was both Todd Jones and Beth Richards. You can now send this report anywhere you would like, put it into a workflow. You can utilize that automatically. We think you're going to love the missing item search as it helps you identify things that are missing in your eFile cabinet Rubix environment. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you'll take advantage of these new exciting features to help make you more efficient, productive, and effective with your document management needs. Many are already asking when these new features will be available. Well, they're ready today. Please contact your account managers to get access to all this great new functionality. Thanks for watching. Our chat for the webinar will continue to stay open for the next 15 minutes as well. We have representatives ready to respond. Please submit all your questions now.